Hello and welcome everyone. In this video, I will show you how to deploy the Bold Reports report server in Azure Kubernetes Service with Ingress. Let me begin with a brief overview of Bold Reports Server. It's a reporting platform designed for creating, managing, and delivering interactive reports. It supports embedding reports into web applications built with ASP.NET Core, ASP.NET MVC, Angular, React, and Blazor. Users can manage access through role-based permissions and deploy the server on Windows, Linux, Docker, or cloud platforms. Now, let me look at the hardware and software requirements for deploying Bold Reports report server. The hardware requirements are a CPU with 2 or more cores and minimum 4 GB of RAM. And software requirements are database like Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL or MySQL, command line tool like kubectl or AWS CLI, and a web browser like Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, or Google Chrome. Now let's start the deployment. First, download the highlighted deployment files from the Bold Reports Kubernetes GitHub repository. I have provided a link in the description below. For this example, I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can use your preferred editor. Let's go over these files and modifications. Deployment contains the configuration to create and manage the pods using a replica set. Configuration in HPA is used to automatically increase or decrease the number of pods in response to the workload's CPU or memory consumption. Ingress contains the configuration for controlling the traffic routing and exposes HTTP and HTTPS routes from outside the cluster to services within the cluster. The log4net_config contains configuration settings used to view the application logs in your Kubernetes console or to store the needed logs in a file. Namespaces contain configurations that will be helpful when different teams or projects share a Kubernetes cluster. pvclaim AKS contains the configuration for where we will provide the information for the file system. And service provides a single point of entry for accessing one or more pods. I have already created the Kubernetes cluster in Azure to deploy Bold Reports. The next step is to connect with the Azure cluster. Open PowerShell and navigate to the folder where you've downloaded the deployment files. Run this command to authenticate Azure. Next, open the Azure Kubernetes page and the Cluster Overview page. Click the Connect option. Copy this command and run it in PowerShell. Now we have connected with the cluster. Then, deploy the Nginx Ingress controller by running this command. Next, configure the file storage for pods. I have already created a storage account for this example. Open the Account Access Key page. Copy the storage account name, and then copy the storage account key and convert them to base64. I have created the file share instance inside the storage account to store the shared folder for application usage and made a note of the file share name, which will be used in the next step. Now let me open the pvclaim_AKS file and add the Azure Storage Account name value with the base64 value of the Azure Storage Account name, and the Azure Storage Account key value with the base64 value of the Azure Storage Account key. Then add the share name and value and save it. Then run this command to create a namespace for Bold Reports. Bold Service is my namespace. Next, run this command to create the config map. For this demo, I will deploy the report server using the Ingress IP address. If you'd like to set up the report server with a domain, you can directly add the domain name and TLS secret name under the TLS and rules section in the ingress.yaml file. By default, the application will be hosted in non-SSL mode. If you want to configure SSL, you need to add the domain and SSL configuration in the ingress.yaml file. Before configuring SSL, you will need to create the TLS secret with the SSL certificate by running this command. Bold Reports TLS is the secret name. This indicates the path for the .pem file and the .crt file path. You should use your domain SSL certificate. Run this command to apply the bold reports ingress and get the IP address of the engine X ingress. Then run this command until you get an ingress IP address. Once you have the IP address, you will need to map it to the domain you added in the ingress.yaml file. Next, open the deployment.yaml file and replace the DNS or ingress IP address in the application base URL. If you want to use third-party data sources like MySQL, Oracle, or PostgreSQL in your report, you'll need to install them while deploying the report server. If you want to install more than one client library, separate each with commas. Here I specify MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, Snowflake, and Google BigQuery. Then, apply the configuration from pvclaim_AKS for creating a persistent volume and persistent volume claim. Apply the configuration in the deployment file by running this command to create and manage pods with the specified number of replicas and the provided image. Next, apply the configuration in HPA by running this command to set up autoscaling for the Kubernetes horizontal pod autoscaler. Then, create all the services by running this command. You can see the services are created. Once all the deployment files are applied, check the pod status. Run this command. Let me run the command again, and you'll see all the pods are running. Now the report server is ready for startup. I open the browser and navigate to the domain or IP address provided in the application base URL to configure the report server. As you can see, the Bold Reports Enterprise Server Startup page has loaded. On the admin page, fill in the required fields and select Next to proceed to the database configuration mode. The first option is Shared Database Mode. In this mode, all tenants share a single database with data logically separated using unique identifiers. This approach optimizes resource use, reduces infrastructure costs, and simplifies maintenance while maintaining data segregation. The second option is the Separate Database Mode. In this mode, every tenant has its own dedicated database, ensuring that data is separate. This improves security, allows independent management, and enhances performance for each tenant. Proceed with the Separate Database Mode. The Bold ID database stores information about sites, users, and access permissions. The Bold Reports database stores reports, users, and resource access permissions. You can choose between two configuration modes. Simple Mode, which configures a single database for Bold ID and Bold Reports. Or Advanced Mode, which configures separate databases for Bold ID and Bold Reports. For this example, we will proceed with Simple Mode. You can choose Microsoft SQL Server / Azure SQL, PostgreSQL, MySQL, or Oracle Database option to configure the Bold Report server. Here I select the default server type, Microsoft SQL Server / Azure SQL. Based on your selection, the form will refresh, displaying fields related to the chosen database. Next, enter the necessary fields. New Database allows you to create a new database on the selected server. Existing Database lets you select an existing database on the selected server. Enter the database name as Bold Service Kubernetes. You can modify the database schema, ID table prefix, and server tables prefix values if needed. These prefixes will appear in your table names within the database. The Enable SSL option makes a secure connection between the report server application and the database to get the data encrypted. For this example, we will proceed with the default values. Click Next to open the account activation page. Next, you will need to activate your Bold Reports account. There are 3 options available to activate the account. If you have a Bold Reports account, you can activate it by using the Login to Activate Account option. If you are working in a secure environment without access to an external server, you can activate an account using an Upload License File option. If you don't have a Bold Reports account, you can proceed with a 30-day trial. Since I have a Bold Reports account, I will click the Login to Activate Account button. If you have multiple licenses, Bold Reports will ask you to select one. If you have only one license, the process will be skipped. See, sample reports that were already integrated into the report server can be added to the reports page. If you click a report, it will open in a new window. As you can see, the report was successfully rendered. In this video, I have shown you how to install the Bold Reports report server on the Azure Kubernetes service using Ingress and view the reports. To learn more about Bold Reports, you can visit boldreports.com. To try Bold Reports, you can start a 30-day free trial by clicking the Try It Free option. If you want a demo from an expert, you can schedule a call by clicking the Request Demo button. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.